good to go? Are you good? Good evening. My name is Susan Stevenson. I'm the chair of the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation for the Village of Southampton, New York. I'm calling this meeting on the 27th of January 2020 to order. Do I have a motion to open the meeting?
I make a motion that we open this meeting of the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation on January 27th, 2020.
Second?
Second that.
Aye.
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 Before we begin, I'd like to make it clear that I expect everyone, the board and the public, to act and speak with civility in this room. Anyone who wants to speak should sign up on the list at the corner of the table so we know how to spell your name for the minutes. And no one may speak until they're recognized by the chair. If you're presenting materials, please put them down on the table facing the board so the videographer can pick it up. Now I'd like to introduce our board for tonight. To my left, Rob Coburn, Sarah Latham, and to my right, Curtis Highsmith. Jeff Broadleib is absent due to jury duty in Brooklyn. Our counsel is Alice Cooley. Our recording secretary is Jolie Sanchez. Zach Studenroth is our historic consultant, but he's not required here tonight, so he's not here. And Charles Styler is our videographer. Let's begin. First, minutes. Minutes approval for January 13th. Were you all here?
Yes.
Motion to approve the minutes of January 13th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
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 I have one resolution that I'd like to put forth that we can discuss, and then if we agree, we can adopt it at our next meeting. It has to do with when materials need to be submitted to the building department for the public and the board to review them. So I think I have to read this. Is that correct?
You don't have to read the whole thing. I
Okay.
think you can explain the gist.
So the gist of it is that all applications must be fully submitted to the building department no later than 12 noon the Thursday before a scheduled meeting in order to be heard by the board and in order for the public to have access to these plans. Applications shall not be placed on the agenda until they are fully submitted. Does anyone have anything to say about this of the board?
I would just say that I agree with the concept for both the public notice purposes. And I did have someone come up to me this fall saying that because materials weren't in when they were in at 9 o'clock on a Friday, they assumed there wouldn't be discussion of an item, and they didn't show up at the meeting, and it was in fact discussed. And we have in the past, as a courtesy, in some occasions, listened, but I think even that can be difficult
Right.
as well.
Well, until I thought we already verbally had this resolution, but I don't know where it went. So we're gonna make it formal next time. How about you, Curtis? You good with this?
Yeah, why would it have to wait till the next meeting? We have public discussion to see if there's any public dialogue. Why would we have to?
It's not up to the public.
It's not on the agenda,
No.
so there should
And
be.
the
it's
reason
up
why?
to the board to make up their own, to establish their own protocol. So,
So I think it's best to just get it
So-
on the agenda for next time. and
okay,
adopt
so
it.
that's,
All right.
so that's all there is to say about that. So
Great.
let's move ahead. The sign approvals have been changed, so they are done in-house, but I'd like to announce that organic and eco-friendly pest control sign was approved, and Fresco Pizza and Deli was also approved. If a sign, if there is some issue with the sign, according to the members of the board who are asked to review it, it will appear on our agenda and will be heard at the meeting. But these two were passed. Next, written decisions. First, 180 Great Plains Road, LLC, 2 sets of driveway gates.
And is there a written decision in here? I don't see the written decision for 180 Great Plains Road.
I have a written decision.
Do you have the
Not a
original?
draft.
No, I need the original. Yeah, I've read it.
I thought she said she
She said she had them.
printed them out.
Well, I see the other three. I just don't.
There are 3. There are only 3.
Yeah, there's 3.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm very sorry.
Okay, I
do
know,
have
I thought there were 4 too, don't worry about
it.
it.
Sorry about that.
All right. Anyone have any comments on this, or can we just vote? Motion to approve the application.
I'll make a motion that we approve the written decision of council regarding driveway gates at 180 Great Plains Road.
Second that.
Aye.
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 Coming back to you. Next, White Fence Incorporated, 409 First Neck Lane. Construction of accessory garage and exterior alterations of existing dwelling. Anyone have any, everyone's read it? Everyone good with it? Motion to approve the application of 409 of White Fence.
I'll make a motion that we approve the written decision, accept and approve the written decision of council for White Fence Inc. at 409 First Neck Lane.
Second.
Aye.
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 Wow, that squeaked by because I was recused, which I forgot. All good. Next, and finally, Love Nest Trust, 28 Gin Lane. Construct 2-story single-family dwelling with attached garage and accessory pool house.
I just have a point of order, really. It's not a discussion because I know the hearing is closed. I want to put on the public record that I have spoken to the architect for this application who presented it, not related to the architecture or the application. I reached out regarding septic systems to make sure they were aware of a technology that could work well on the property. I felt it was appropriate given something they said in the meeting. But I made it clear that I wasn't calling with respect to the application, that what we discussed was not going to have any influence on my vote. But I just wanted to put on the record that I did reach out to him and have that discussion last
Thank
week.
you.
Okay.
I will make a motion that we accept and approve the written decision of council for Love Nest Trust at 28 Gin Lane.
Second.
Aye.
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 No.
Here you go. All right, all 3 written decisions were approved. Next. It's a turning. It's a turning in the history of
Would you
the
care for a copy of the
ARB.
written
It's finally
decision?
over.
Gin Lane?
We have extras, so we will otherwise get through them before. Thanks very much.
Next,
Anyone else care for a copy of either of the written decisions?
driveway gates non-historic, 640 Ox Pasture LLC, 640 Ox Pasture Road. Hello,
Good evening. My affidavits.
your name for the record, sir?
Good evening, Tom Lawrence, Bulgin and Associates for the property owners, 640 Ox Pasture Road, LLC. Let's see if I get the plans right side to the board.
I don't need to see those. I can't see these. Did we get this worked out? When was this put up? What's the date when this is stamped in? 'Cause these, there weren't the dimensions before, is that right? It's okay now. It's just, I believe there was some confusion. There's still some confusion.
How may I alleviate any confusion?
Well, like, how tall are the gates, for instance?
They are 7'5" tall at the columns.
Is that on here?
I believe it is. And if it is not, then that is our error.
So,
It's not.
well, maybe it's over here, but it really should be, it's not. So I had some,
In candor, we may have obliterated the elevations or that information when these gates were modeled after an existing gate on a property that adjoins, held in common ownership, and these drawings were modified from that set of gates.
Right, I don't care, we need to have the dimensions
Are
on
you the
the
architect
plans.
of file?
No, I'm
You're
not. Simply the contractor.
Uh-oh, I actually do think these need to be,
They're scaled plans, right?
They are to scale,
They are to scale.
and I can modify.
council,
I've got a
If-
scale.
If you are
if they
okay
come in
with the
and
gates,
mark them up,
could be
Well-
a condition.
If I may, there is no architect of record.
Who drew these?
A mill shop,
well, there you go. So they're,
But
but
they're scaled plans.
they are.
no, we can't do that, can we?
I don't see why not.
You don't?
No.
Then everyone will come in and want to build a house without any engineer or
This
architect.
is a gate,
is
this
from
isn't
where
a
I'm coming
house.
from.
I mean, a house is required to have, engineered stamps on it. It's different.
There's no one that works for you as an engineer, none of this?
Respectfully, for a gate, I honestly don't believe it would be required, certainly not under
Okay,
I think
New
we
York
can,
State code.
we can rely on
we're
the,
here in Southampton. Okay,
if
I-
you're okay with the
I don't
gate.
feel good about it, so I could vote no on it because I don't know what I'm talking
Of
about.
course
So
you
that's
can.
where I'm coming from. So if you can get the other three to do it, it's fine with me, but
What's the
I'm-
spacing between the slats?
we shouldn't
The
have
gate-
to do the work. I don't even think.
7.
The gate is presented to the board as a solid gate to match the existing.
Oh, no, no wonder. You know what?
You just get worse.
No, If I
Go
may,
ahead, Curtis.
I'm
ask
just
the
going to tell you
board's,
now, we're at a point now where you almost had me,
almost.
and
Let's talk
But-
about the design.
okay, so just specifically the design, typically normally
Understanding the board's proclivity towards open gates, I do
not
cut
open gates, transparent.
transparent, and 50% being the guideline.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
but that's not what's on here.
Well, you say guideline.
I carry
is-
with me.
Hear what I'm saying? Not guideline because it's nothing written in code.
I agree.
It is just a precedent we set because of the transparency of the gate.
Understood
Okay.
and appreciated.
So you're now proposing this
In that
as-
context, I present the board with, and dimensioned, option B.
And what is the spacing, what is the size of the slats and the spacing of the slats?
What this option presents the board with is, this is as proposed, and this is
As modified, let's say.
modified option B. And it simply divides the field space into equidistant so that the boards would be 4.5 inches and the space would be 4.5 inches. Which,
That's stated on the.
Yes.
So
These I
those
drew
plans
by
there
hand.
will state that the opening spacing is 4.5 inches.
yes, may I approach?
You're going to have to get those stamped in because I'm out of the, it's gotten way too complicated for me.
It's just every,
Well, I know what it is, but it has to be written down somewhere, otherwise I can't sign it.
I think this one has dimensions on it.
That's
It
what I'm
does.
thinking.
A
Full
miracle.
and complete.
It does?
It
Yes.
does.
All right, those
The
need,
second
get two of
passed.
them stamped so we can use those.
I have copies for,
These are like,
Your stamp.
oh,
yeah,
good.
they're stamped.
No, she needs stamping for signing off on them,
I
which is
have
right
to
here.
sign these things tomorrow. It doesn't just, there's some sort of protocol that's very annoying that we don't miss that. Takes forever. But do we even have a date? Did she stamp the date?
27.
Oh, well, you've got that one.
and that drawing is actually, or those drawings are actually dated
two of them?
as prepared.
So I know in the file, there were some photographs submitted of other gates in the neighborhood, and I believe at least two of them were entirely opaque, one of them being the sister gates to these next door, but those are set back about 90 feet from the road.
Yes.
And the other one that I saw that was submitted is actually a secondary gate for service purposes, and the primary gate on that property is at least 50% opaque. So it has been the preference of this board in most situations. There's some public safety issues involved, but it's mostly, trying to alleviate the look of a gated community throughout the village.
Understood and
An
appreciated.
opaque gated community. And can you describe the materials on here? Is it wood? Is it AZEK?
Wood, we will wrap the columns in either clear cedar or AZAC for stability, but it's all white paint. And the cap on the columns is a simple flush lead-coated copper, very narrow profile.
There's this bracketing and seems to be some type of front handle. Is that iron or wood?
Black painted iron, yes.
And these supports,
That's what.
All in iron. Well,
black?
it'll be black painted stainless, more like.
Are those actual strap hinges or
They
are
are
they
indeed.
decorative?
They are.
Okay.
Handsome.
So all of the hardware and the profile, if you will, or the overall design matches the existing gate, which I think is a suitable compromise. Hopefully the board.
Sorry. Okay, you're doing a pretty good job now. Okay,
Well, I
good.
aim to
Glad you
have
brought these ones, because if they even have dimensions, it's all good to go to me.
Thank you.
All right. Board members, got anything to say besides what we already said? Anyone from the public have any comments on the gates? Motion to, yeah?
So I'll make, it's non-historic, I'll make a motion that we approve the driveway gates for 640 Ox Pasture LLC with the half-open, half-railed version, which is the left side of the newly submitted plans.
I'm gonna put-
But that would be on both sides.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
That's the motion.
I second.
Aye.
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 It passed.
Thank you very much, and appreciate the patience for the bumpy start.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Whoa.
Won't happen after next week.
Next, no historic driveway gates, so we're moving ahead to public hearings, non-historic. First up, 27 Post Lane LLC. Construct two-story, single-family dwelling with attached garage, reconstruct cottage. Now, what's in the file of this? Are those the same as the plans in the file?
Yes, the plans are the same, and the elevations are the same. We just,
It was
with the
the
elevations, we
location.
took some of the written information off of it so that it was clearer. We took the numbers out of the windows and the doors, so that it was just clearer for you to see the elevation.
But you're moving the cottage, is that correct?
That's on this plan as well.
Yes, and the
Okay.
There's an
No, I
existing
know.
cottage that's
Yeah.
on the property line.
One of those.
So, can we just check the, you want this? Give her one. Oh, no. Somebody's going to have to get out.
I got it. No,
And
come
it's
on, stop
not
that.
going to be to Curtis.
Cut that out.
Oh,
Cut that out.
man. Okay, so wait, I want to be assured that what I'm looking at here is the same as what he's looking for in there. Is
Yeah.
that true? Okay, good.
Am I looking for plans for you?
Are these stamped in?
Yes. These-
Counsel?
Oh,
The affidavits are from back in December. That doesn't matter, right? It's been on the agenda.
No,
and
it's
been adjourned.
continued on the
Still
agenda.
properly
Yeah.
moved. Thank you. Okay.
okay. Your name, please?
Okay, my name is Jeffrey Gibbons, architect. I'm here on behalf of my client at 27 Post Lane. Application is to remove the existing residence, remove the existing legal cottage that sits partially on the property line to a conforming location, because it does have a C of O that's grandfathered in. And the main house, rather than have some, well, obviously, the coverage, we attached the garage to the house. So there wouldn't be any more than one extra building on the property besides the house itself. The plans are exactly the same. A2.0 is where the elevations start.
And then
And the information is also there for the cottage.
So that's what I'm looking for. What are the materials listed?
Yes, the materials are on the,
Front page?
yes, on the plans that are in the file, the materials are all listed.
Okay.
The wall, the windows and trim are all going to be white. And the,
That's refreshing.
be a bleached look to cedar shingles. There's also going to be cedar shingles on the roof.
So this shows kind of clapboard style, but this is shingles?
Yeah.
Just so it's meant,
Well, it's, that people frequently draw straight lines, and it's
Yeah, they
really meant
do.
as shingles.
okay,
And
that's
it's,
fine. I
Yeah,
need to
there's
ask.
no clapboard on here.
Right, see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It's fine, I just need to know. Okay, good.
There's also I have, well, elevations for the board to see, the front and the rear, and that's the cottage. And I also have a site plan with
Well, we have-
landscaping.
This is,
So those two row of,
But this has landscaping on it.
oh,
those two row of solar, is that the only section where there will be solar on the roof?
As far
Solar
as
panels?
I know it right now, yes.
Really?
We need them.
Significant for, oh, you need for yours?
Yeah, we need it for
Definitely,
hers,
but-
and our south elevation, we didn't want to put them on because that's the front of the house.
good thinking.
So, you know what they're going to generate from those two? Is some new system or something that's going to be able to get you the numbers you're looking for?
Yeah, I believe that they're going to be, that's as much as we need for our system.
Okay.
We wanted to show them just so,
No, I'm
I
glad
have a
you
feeling you're
showed
going to need
them.
more panels.
It's good
Yeah.
to know.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the total square footage of the house?
Here it is.
3613.
I'm running into those problems now myself. Yeah.
Board members?
Clean house, straight design. I like the fact that you're taking the garage and not face it to the street.
Oh,
You
He's been
factored
here.
factored it into the overall aesthetics of the house. It flows well. Even the rear deck doesn't show. I mean, it's positioned centered. I don't think there'll be any visual or privacy concerns or issues, which would be the only reason I would have
There's only
issues.
one house adjacent, and the rest of the land is
Even
vacant.
so, its
For
positioning.
now.
Its positioning is.
You're not going to dig people up, are we?
No, oh, that's
Let's
right.
not talk about that now. That's.
Let's not get, oh, yes, the
And
famous hedge.
I think it actually comes down, well, at least from what I heard, that those graves were wooden markers, and that's why we don't see them. And that's why we only see
I heard
them.
some other stuff, just don't even think about that stuff.
All right.
Right.
But there are multiple skylights that are on the one gable, right? Or is that? Am I seeing? Are reading?
Yes, in the front,
There are. You can see- oh, those are the same. Can you see them on the front?
I think if you look at the roof.
I'm looking at the roof.
Roof plan,
Yeah.
Right, right, right.
A1.4,
So which is,
yeah, on the roof plan.
8, those 8, the main roof
Will they be
line.
seen, or is that?
are they covered by the other roof lines? No,
They're on the red.
They're behind the.
Well, this is back,
Yeah.
and they're over the staircase. That was the idea, so that you could get light in down through the house.
Right.
Understood. But it's further back, so
We don't
from
wanna
your
see
impact looking.
Well, it's over the stair. We don't want people to look, to see it. Yeah. Well, that's why we pulled them back, so that they didn't detract from the front of the house.
An issue. Yeah, question.
anyone from,
I have a couple quick questions. So on 1.4, the same, the roof plan that we were just on.
Uh-huh.
We tell you a lot sometimes. There's a lot going on this roof. Between the gables, is there basically rabbiting coming down in a few places to shed water?
Yes.
So that to either side of the skylights, for instance, the sort of triangular areas, are rabbits that basically go up to the ridge line, the main ridge line in the middle of the house, and then come down so that by the time they are done, they're at the level of the secondary eaves? Okay. All right. I think from a sightline standpoint. I just felt like the gables on this house were a little busy. On the front elevation, on 020.
Remember that in 3D, they do step back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's sort of the double gable on the right over the garage that just, to me, is... When you wrap the main the center gable with the two others of equivalent size, it just felt busy. But is anyone else feeling that or no?
Well, there are a lot of gables. You're absolutely correct.
A lot of
I
gables.
wouldn't be
Okay.
able to see how you could have fewer of them, because once you take one away on the right, then it matches the left.
I
You know,
understand.
then it starts to look silly.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say yes. It's got, you know, what can you do?
The only other question I had is the width of the sliders on the back, first and second floor. Are those, the one on the first floor looks like it's maybe 12 feet
I believe it is.
opening, and the second floor 10-foot opening
In the north elevation?
on the north elevation on A2.1.
Oh, he's got a solar. He just had a door. I don't think he'd have a problem.
You're talking about these two, right?
Yeah, the big plain ones. It's in the back.
It's in the back. And, no, it's just, okay.
This is 10 feet,
Yeah.
and this one is 12.
Good guessing. All right.
Okay.
Is there anyone, do you have anything more to say?
No.
I don't. Do you? Is there anyone from the public who wants to speak about this application? No? So, motion to approve the application of 27 Post Lane LLC.
So moved.
Second?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Good luck. Build to plan.
Always.
Uh-huh. Next, Neil and Sarita Jaira, 72 David White's Lane, construct two-story single-family dwelling with attached garage.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Good night.
Good night.
Now, what- Neil here. Oh, he had two applications last night.
Evening.
Good evening.
We were before the board 2 weeks ago. Mr. Highsmith wanted on this application, we do have a second floor rear deck, and Mr. Highsmith wanted more clarification on the impact that deck will have on the neighboring property. So what I was asked to do in this illustration basically, so what I was asked to do was show a 6-foot person standing on the deck, looking out and down to the adjacent property, showing also the size of the adjoining or the perimeter trees or hedges. And you can see from the illustration that, that the hedges are of a height that, from the second floor deck, you would not be able to see. We do have a series of pictures I'd like to submit, or at least show you. These are the actual trees. And I think they give a very good illustration.
Explain them?
What's it?
I'll explain them.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Anthony Porco. Good evening. This is showing the front view from the street.
You know, you have to put it on the
Okay.
table or the people
Front
are
view from the
watching.
street, which shows these trees range from 18 to 20 feet. They're narrow, they're shorter in the street side, and they gradually get taller as you go back.
Could I ask you a big favor? Could you just slide it about 2 feet that way to get it a little out of the glare showing up? Can you pick that up, Charlie? That's great.
That's good.
Thank you.
Okay.
So this is just showing both sides of the hedges. This is showing the right side from the street.
You give the destination north, south, east, west of the property.
This is west, right side. This is east side, showing the hedges.
Those hedges are going to remain. You're not removing them.
Yeah, this house has been here for like over 35 years. And they planted both sides and the entire back. Left side again, east side, west side. Not only do you have hedges on this property, but the neighbor next door has another row of hedges. This is the rear yard. This is putting your back towards the back of the home, looking towards the rear of the house, the rear of the yard. So it shows it totally same size trees.
So you're going to add those photos to the file?
You already have them, but I can give them to you again.
Oh, we have them. We have copies, and
Yeah.
that
We
it
just
completes
did-
the file. My concern was making sure the file was complete. That
Absolutely.
we addressed it, and it's
And this house here, is 84. This is the neighbor to the left as you're looking at the home.
Should be the east side.
It's a new construction. It's probably around 3 years old.
Crazy one.
It's not crazy. There's no houses. There's no homes in the village crazy. It's just unique. You satisfied the record. My concern was to ensure that at least the file had the information in there. You've done so. So unless you have some further questions.
I just asked to state again for the record, Charles, if you could give estimates of the distance from the proposed deck to each of the side yards and the
Okay.
backyard, just to
The
point that out.
Okay, basically, I'm going to say that this being north, let's say this is east, so to the east, we have 19, I believe 19 feet from the edge of the house to the property. And on the west side, towards the back, we have a little over 20. In the front, we have just about 19.
And I've actually went on this property. I obviously take these pictures. I got permission. And I can't even see this house. I can't see his decks. I can't see anything. It's pretty amazing based on the size of the yards, side yards.
It is a narrow lot, that we will admit, it's a narrow lot, so.
Yeah, it is. Does anyone from the public have anything to say? No? And all of us are... I still am a little nervous about the deck.
I'm nervous about the architecture, but the deck I'm nervous about.
Well, what about the architecture?
Well, I just mentioned in the last meeting the size and location of the garage. It's been a theme on some applications lately, and it's concerning to me. I feel like it overpowers the house from the street.
It didn't bother me as much as it bothered everyone else for some reason.
I just wanted to point out that this house on 84.
I think we're good with the pictures.
Okay.
No, enough said.
You loved the pictures, though, didn't you?
My father taught me to do things thorough.
I
Yeah, you
understand,
did a
yeah.
very thorough job, thank you. All right, so Rob has issues with the garage?
Yeah.
Do you?
No. I think you have a limitation
Of the size?
of these lots, of long, narrow lots. There
They're
could have been
unfortunate.
a lot more unattractive designs, which unfortunately we've seen. But to implement on such a lot, two-car garage, to actually access it and have any room, and not overpower the property with non-green space, that becomes a problem. I think this at least adheres to it. You have green space at the rear of the property. You still have your entertainment space in the front. It's the best you can do with a two-car garage with limitation of space.
I get the sighting of it. the combination of the setting and the architecture. I still think there are other architectural solutions that could have been put forward, so, but
All right.
it doesn't sound like, it sounds like I'm,
Well, vote your conscience, yeah. Motion to approve the application of Neil and Sarita, is it Gyra?
Jarrett.
I so moved.
At 72 David White's Lane. I second the motion.
Aye.
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 nay.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Have a great
Approved.
night.
Good luck.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night, board.
Next. Here's a stamped one. 300 Murray Place, LLC, 300 Murray Place. Construct two-story single-family dwelling with detached garage and accessory pool house.
So I have 5 more.
Before we get started, this, oh no, is this the one, this is the one? What is the stamp on those plans?
On these plans or
Friday?
the ones here?
24.
Oh, on the 24th.
Yeah. So we will let you present your application, but we're not going to take action in case someone wanted to, a neighbor or the public wanted to be able to view the plans or come to the next meeting and speak about it.
Okay.
Okay? So
Okay,
go
good.
ahead.
Okay.
State your name, please.
So
sir.
my name is Matthias Thorn, and I'm presenting a 2.5-story building for my client and on 300 Murray Place. And before I will show you the plans, in our last go-around with our plans, we already heard some rumors and some noise that the proposed building did not sort of meet your approval, or there were things with
There were
the
zoning issues, I believe.
there was a zoning issue which we recalculated, but there was also an issue with all the different setbacks and decks and so on. And I went back to my client, and then, as it sometimes is, all of a sudden we were redesigning a building. So it is not, it has, this building which you have here now on the table is no longer.
Completely different, right?
It's completely different.
That's why I wanted, by the way, I'm not trying to be vindictive, but who would think, you know, that the next time you came, there would be a completely different
Well,
house,
we did it.
which is fine, I'm just saying, but we need to
I
let
understand
the
it.
neighbors take a look.
I understand.
I think they'll be happier, but I'm not the neighbors.
I hope you will be happier. But anyway, so it is the whole concept of this design is that there is a main building which is 35 feet high. It is a brick structure, and it is 40 by 30 feet, and then has two connected extensions on each side, which are two buildings which are only 30 feet high and have a lower trough line. And the whole idea is that, you know, I didn't want to create kind of a massive structure and max out the possible height. And so it looks more like an old brick building which was restored, and then there were two wings sort of added to it. And what we also did, we had, and that's the text of the definition is slightly incorrect now, because it's no longer a detached garage, it is an attached garage. And I was listening also in the last meeting very carefully, and the garage is no longer facing the street.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is perpendicular, and it is sort of, you have to make a turn in order to go to get into the garage. But I think it's the way you see it on the site plan on the upper left corner. I think the building fits very nicely onto the property, and the idea is that it is not a new massive 35-foot high maxed out building. It is something which is more organic and has kind of the idea that it was maybe, even though it's not true, but maybe it was an old building which was renovated and brought to new life. So that is the concept of this, and we were very careful with the proportions of windows and the optional half story is only then situated on the main building, which is the brick building, and which also allows us to have the second floors on the adjacent building also already being in the roof. So you have dormers, and you have a much smaller sort of vertical facade of the two adjacent buildings. Yes.
And you show photographs in context, too, with this.
I'm sorry?
You show the context in the...
Yeah, well, I wanted to see what all the neighbors are doing, because I think it belongs, into the neighborhood, and I didn't want it to be after, the first go around. I wanted to make sure that it is understood, and I think this type of design fits very nicely with the existing buildings, and then.
Well, I think it's a major improvement, I tell you. Better.
I'm relieved. And then we have a material concept here for the two buildings. So and it varies very just gradually, but still there's difference. We have. Our roof of the main building is a hand split cedar shake, and then we have a whitewashed brick facade. We do have, and I want to point it out, we don't have black windows, but we have charcoal colored, charcoal gray windows. I personally feel that they're, especially with the brick facade, they fit very well to the building. We have granite lintels, and then we have basically massive sort of granite steps, which are being the entry into the building. So every material is very organic and very true. We didn't want to use any kind of fake or materials which are trying to present something what they're not. And then on the two smaller additions, we have a cedar shake, but it's a slightly different shingle. It's perfection. All the trims are painted in white. We have the black windows. We have our gray windows, and we have a clapboard siding, and which I think also fits very well into the character of the brick and the clapboard of the combination of these two buildings. We do have a revised landscaping plan, if you are interested to see that.
Yep.
Because we had a couple of night shifts in order to make this.
True.
This is fairly true as much as possible.
This isn't the real landscaping here.
We have a plan here, which we can show.
Can I ask a quick question of the windows? Are they casement windows?
Yes.
In every case? So
Yes.
French doors were applicable on the first floor?
No double hung or anything, all casement. And
There's some tough, the gate, the front entryway, is there a gate going into the vestibule, or what is that entry?
well, it is a double door, of which one door will be always locked, but then you have one door which is the movable door, but you have the feeling that there's a double door going into the vestibule.
So it's a
I mean, technically, you could have both doors open for an event or for.
and then you're meant into like a foyer where you go into a glass.
Well, we have a foyer. We are trying to, this is a little bit in the works, but we're trying to have a kind of a halfway opening up onto the second floor, so there's a little bit of height in the building, but I don't want to make it too big, because then I think it wouldn't be authentic to the existing structure. But there's some opening there that you feel a little bit more space from.
But you have a recessed deck above that, don't you?
Yes. Yeah.
So you're walking in, it's a recessed deck, so it's actually enclosed, it's not
Yeah.
an opening.
Yeah.
Sorry, Curtis.
So,
But it helps her when she has to write up for.
Well, it's not historic.
yes, then you're allowed to write. And I just had a question about the caps on the, first of all, the chimneys. They just seem a little skinny, but then I look at the profile of the house itself, and
It's skinny,
a very
too.
slender house, so I see anything. But I'm showing two different caps on the just on your elevations showing here.
No,
So a flat cap on the A1.
no, they're all kind of rounded. They have a slight profile.
Yeah. You're seeing on the side, like on the south elevation, southeast elevation, you're seeing the side of a rounded sort of.
Kind of dome shaped. It's something very subtle. I mean, we didn't want to have some big thing up there on the chimney.
It is skinny.
What type of garage door? Even though it's not facing the street, will it be?
It will be a wooden garage door, maybe with some transoms and yeah. What I like about it that unlike every sort of wood structure, all the windows at the brick building are set back, because that's the nature of it, and I think it gives it a very nice difference between kind of a wooden structure and a brick building.
I feel like we're halfway between architecture and the landscape plan. Does it make sense to have them present the landscape plan and then come back for questions
No, I agree.
overall?
Actually, I'd like the landscape plan better, because I was going to come back with the non-green space in the front there, but it looks like you reduced that substantially, at least based on the rendering. Is that changed? Is that part of the plan too? Where
Well, we are planning to have a 12-foot hedge all the way along at the property line.
Okay.
And then, of course, a gate with 50% opaque and...
you presenting the gate today, or is that something you're
no.
presenting in an application?
I would like to do that separately.
Yeah, okay.
But
Well, next time you
I
could
am
bring it.
aware of the fact what gate
Yes,
it has to
you've
be.
been learning. I can tell you're good. You've proofread, so it's all happening. All right. How are we doing
Oh, can
here?
I point out one more thing?
Yes.
We have on the second floor and on the rear we have a
Yeah.
balcony, and I just want to point out that the distance from the position somebody on the balcony to the next property is about 85 feet.
Okay, I saw.
So there is a lot of space, and I don't think there's a risk of any kind of privacy issue.
Any more architectural questions?
I don't know if we were going to get more of a presentation on landscaping, but, so I had a couple questions, and this materials list clarifies a good deal of it. One of my reactions was similar to Curtis's. I feel like I appreciate this design. I did see the other one, and I think this is more in keeping with the neighborhood. I think it's quite handsome. Something about the side roof lines and the chimneys still feels a little off to me. There's a balance issue. I think it starts with the height of the roof on the side forms. In elevation, and I know elevations are dangerous things, but to my eye, those ridge lines want to be 2 or 3 feet shorter. And part of it is because of the angle that then gets made also at the end, the very steep angle, which sort of has a mansard feel, but isn't repeated anywhere else on a roof line.
And then you're making the buildings chunkier in order for you to get the type of pitch you're looking for.
What's that?
You would have to widen and make the structures chunkier wider in order for you to get the type of pitch that you're looking for.
I mean, I do understand your concern about the ridge line of the two adjacent buildings. However, if I am lowering that one, I will. There comes a point where the sort of usable space on the second floor is so this is already
That you would have to.
so this is already on the one hand I wanted to have kind of a nice pitch and not just something fairly flat.
Yep.
So that it looks like a real house. And so I think I mean we can massage it a little bit, but we went already through the exercise to sort of trying to sort of balance it. Chimneys, we will. I mean, we will probably. We can make them chunkier.
I don't have issues
When you go
with
to the side
either.
view, you recognize the fact that
It's narrow.
it would be
It's narrow.
overwhelming. Yes,
I kind of
it would
like.
be
I
overwhelming.
think it's kind of more stylish that way. I like.
Okay.
Don't get any chunkier.
Good.
And I don't know about the chimneys. I mean, if they work, it's part of half the battle has been won. I don't know. I don't care about the chimneys. How's that? I think it's a major improvement from the previous plan. I think it's handsome. It's a little confrontational, but I kind of like it. So all in all, you know what I don't like is how much patio on this.
Well, that's something I think that is
Does
already.
there have to be that much of that?
No, it's already.
Because I think it really takes away from the back of the building.
I think this our landscaping plan already shows.
Oh, okay, you're right.
A different patio.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I did look at both,
that's why I
but I
said that
didn't
it's reduced.
compute the two. Okay, I've gotcha. So it's much
So I
better.
have
It's
to.
less,
I have to take the landscaping plan now into my site plan and to.
right, but, so there isn't like an enormous
Yeah,
corrugated
I would agree. Yeah.
surface. Because your house has a kind of stark, I like stark, facade, that then when you got all this extra stuff,
No,
it's
I-
like a
I hear
people
you.
parking lot.
Yeah.
Didn't do much for me.
What is the, last quick question, what is the reveal on the clapboard siding? You know what the exposure is?
Well, probably 6 inches, something like that, 6 to 7 inches. I want to make it larger and not so, cute and small. But I mean,
Your
yeah.
design was restrained. I mean, it really was.
And
I'm
it's
very
kind of-
shocked because
After
Yeah.
the previous one.
But
I was very shocked that your design is more restrained than you probably did the first. Well, you definitely did the first time around. So, since we're not voting on this tonight, because you said
Yeah.
you want to commute,
I do think we have
I
to
think-
leave it open until the next time.
okay.
But that's
But we
okay.
did send out all the letters to all the
Oh,
neighbors.
but then you put in a completely different plan with only 2 days to see it. You know what I'm saying?
I understand it.
Okay,
But
just-
nobody came
It's-
and looked for it. I mean, that's
but-
the irony, I think.
So, but in the interest of fairness, it will be better for us and for you if we let this have a fair process.
Good.
So it's just one more 2 weeks, and then you're probably good to go.
One last just factual question for the record. On A1.3, on the northeast elevation, the front elevation, can you just describe, I may have missed this in your description, but I'm wondering what that band is between the floors, the sort of at the fascia or
This
plate
is stone.
level? It's stone?
Yeah.
Like, that'll match the window lintels, sort of?
Yes,
It's a rough hewn
yes,
granite?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to...
But kind of a rough, I mean, nothing polished or nothing, so it's really, it's a rough stone band which wraps around this building, which sort of
Okay.
separates the two floors.
And the material on the pediment dormers, that's also,
It's shingle, and then shingle siding and roof on the smaller building, and on the larger building it is shingle on the roof part, and on the siding probably painted trim or I don't know, but something very adequate to the larger building.
You can do wood shingles on that domed roof?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. More power to you. Okay.
All right, so should we just briefly go over do you want to discuss the landscaping? Just vaguely go, just go over
So there is an
it
existing
briefly.
hedge along the street, Dean Gamoka, landscape architect, where the previous driveway was all the way to the north side of the property. We're closing that off, matching the height of the hedge that's there now, which is about 6 feet. There are hedges on the north side, the east side, the west side, and all the way around, really. What's there are huge plane trees, which is really nice. We have 3 big ones. We have a black cherry, which is pretty large. It's probably like an 18-inch caliber. We're saving that. And then just picking up with London planes, which are here already, flanking the driveway, the courtyard. And we're using cryptomeras where there may be visual intrusion between the 2 properties, just to screen off, 14 to 16s on this side. They are the CJs. And it's a very light plan, boxwood, hydrangeas, PG hydrangeas. At the entrance flanking the main part of the entry of the house are heritage birch. And it's quite simple, and grass.
All right, so
Very nice.
maybe,
Thanks.
so the next meeting, we may just introduce you, and if no one has anything more to say, then we can vote, but we just need the time, if you don't mind.
So it sounds like there aren't any substantial
I have no
on
objections,
the board here.
but we
Yeah,
still,
no, I know.
I just don't feel right about it, that's all.
And there will be a revised site plan.
We will have, we will amend the site plan with the new,
Great.
Well, we have the
That's gonna
landscape
apply.
plan, which acts as, unless you need something more updated than the landscape.
It would, I think it's helpful to have it consistent, but it's up to the board.
Okay, so we need,
yeah,
Okay.
we will do that.
so, are you asking us to adjourn to our next meeting, which is February 10th?
So I'll make a motion that we accept the applicant's request to adjourn 300 Murray Place to meeting.
Thank you very much for your
Second
time.
motion, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
See you next time.
Yep.
Great.
Yes?
Okay, how much is, what?
Do you agree with adjournment?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Curtis?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, how much of this paper are we keeping?
Just whatever's stamped, send it my way.
I don't think I have anything stamped.
Oh, I have something.
She has the stamp? Okay, poor Curtis.
I'm sorry.
All right, do you have a landscaping plan there?
This is Ken.
Okay, good. I might keep this till next time, since it's coming
Is there one more stamped landscape? Yes. If there's another landscape plan, then it's stamped, because the one is the full, heavy folded.
Oh, that big thing?
That there is.
I didn't look, I don't think mine is.
That one in your hand, it's in your hand, I think.
Oh, this?
Yep.
I never looked at it. Here.
Thank you.
Okay, there you go. Sorry about that, Rob. Next. Okay, so this is adjourned.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Yes.
Craig J. Goldberg, 258 Toilsome Lane. Construct 2-story single-family dwelling with attached garage and accessory pool house.
Good evening. Hi, again.
Hi.
Stuart Diston and Tim Ganettis. So we were asked last time to do something about the garage in the front of the house. That we found that awkward. So what we've done is actually to literally just sink the garage and use a lift device that just takes the cars right down to it.
Really?
Seriously. Seriously. It's common in Europe and common on the West Coast.
Oh, here, well, we needed this.
It was submitted to Jackie by email on request.
You'll have to have a stamp it.
Not today.
Oh, no, Friday.
Friday?
She
I went in
requested
there.
Friday.
No one knew. I wasn't shown it. It's okay.
So you just...
It's a fairly simple, it's a car lift that just happens to have a roof with a cap on it, and it comes up. So it's completely open to the weather unless it's down, so it will always be down.
How far low does it go below?
Oh, we'll go
below
down
grade?
as far as, we're going to take it down about 10 feet.
Really?
So
the top of the
when it comes up,
It's
wait,
paved
I
on
need
the
to see this
surface.
because we asked and asked.
It's paved on the surface with flagstone or whatever we choose to pave it.
It is.
And it's very common in Switzerland, it's very common on the West Coast, and places like Laguna where you have steep hillsides and that sort of thing, because you have to drive on the top of the roof of the house sometimes and take your car down.
So the remainder of the driveway will be gravel and this portion will be paved?
It could also be, it could potentially be gravel as well.
Yeah?
They have it.
They were saying,
You can have a tray edge.
I would think it would like fall in.
it may be nice to have
Some that have brass.
Have a tray edge to it that will
Yeah.
hold gravity.
Hold everything
So-
in.
Ah, okay.
No, this isn't
So
my
you just
purview.
created a back
So
cave.
is it, when it's,
Has the building department made a determination as to whether guards will be required that will be visible?
for safety?
Excuse me?
Will there be guards required? If
Oh, the whole
if
system
potentially,
is built as a whole safety system. It has cameras, it has infrared, it has guardrails. They come up with it, a ceiling that comes up with it. The whole thing comes up as a guardrail
So
structure.
when it comes up, do we have a picture of what it looks like with the rails and the guards?
I don't,
No, those are just samples of different mechanisms.
When it comes up, there's like a,
There's
it may be
railing
shown on
around
the
like a
cut sheet.
ferry.
There's a
The
railing
thing
around the
comes
whole
up, right? So then that turns out to be,
Oh.
do we have any way to see what that might look like? That doesn't show, see, I think that something will, we
We can
can't let
send you to
people.
the video of it. But it's not going to be up any longer than, let's say, a Federal Express truck would be in the driveway or something like that. It's going to go up, you're going to take your car
I
out.
saw
it's
the
gonna go back
video.
down.
Yeah. You did?
yeah,
What is the company again?
car dock.
Hard
Phantom
dock?
car.
When I was Googling it, I did.
Yeah, CarDoc has the best marketing material, but I think we're looking more strongly at Phantom Lift out of California. They've done
PH?
PH. Phantom Lift.
Let's see.
Okay.
Their website
No,
is
I'm
atrocious
concerned
and
about
takes forever to
what's
load.
gonna show. We don't have any purview on the, theoretically, what's, we can't see, but if you can see something, you do. I don't know what we can see.
So can you just maybe walk the board through how it's used? So someone pulls up, presumably they press a button, this thing
Press a button,
pops
the
up?
roof pops up with sidewalls, glass sidewalls, and you drive your car in.
And then it goes
Press a
down.
button, and it brings the car down. And the car stays right where it is.
Pretty
They're not
cool.
even starting
It's
it.
pretty cool.
And it's just like a lid on a top, so it has a gutter around it. It just
What
comes down.
happens when it rains like 10 inches?
Goes into the
It's
gutter
completely
and it
waterproof.
goes
Goes
out
to the
into
gutter and goes out to a drain.
And there'd be probably some drainage in the garage, like a trough.
You'd hope.
Well, it's a creative solution.
And we're 26 feet above sea level.
And
so
it's a custom solution,
I-
so when, as
I live
concerns are
nearby,
brought, they're
but
able
it
to
can
design
get pretty
to
wet
address
over
it.
there.
I live in Quag. I know what wet is.
Yeah.
We're the lowland.
Wow.
Okay, well, I would have loved to.
I would just say for the record, I really, because I was one of the most vocal people. You built a beautiful, you designed a beautiful symmetrical house. I think a very handsome house. And I think this is a creative solution. I appreciate the time spent looking at it. I hope for my sake and yours that a piece of gravel doesn't jam up the mechanism or it doesn't get stuck open in a blizzard because.
Maybe it's like the walkway.
But I know this technology's been around for a long time. So.
The client is an engineering background, so he's completely, obviously.
The glitch out here is that, that getting something serviced is something of an issue. I call it Hampton service, but
I think
I'll be
subject
happy to find out what happens to him.
We'll let the building department make whatever determinations they need to, but I'm sure that companies that do this for a living understand the liability issues and the safety issues.
They
They don't
would
want to get
have
sued
to.
either.
Yeah.
So presuming that checks out in Chris's mind, I'm very, I'm pleased that you found this solution.
Thank you. We also heard you on the terrace. You asked how many doors that we had going out to the terrace last time. Somebody on the board did. But we've reduced it to one set of doors off her office. in the
I don't-
center.
I don't care how many doors you have in the back of your house.
I saw that, thank you.
Okay. The house, we did eliminate the breezeway. The house shifted a little closer to the street, but no closer than the existing west corner of the house.
So now you have a big deck out there in the back now?
No, that was
It's
always
always
there.
there.
It was always there. There's this door. This is the only door. These are windows.
Oh. And how close is the next person? Not very.
Not terribly, it's at least, I don't have an exact dimension, but it's over 46 feet
To the
from
property. On each
to the
side.
property line.
And then,
There's some existing evergreen
is there solar panels? Are there?
No.
How are you dealing with that? Those are pretty big windows. You got it all under control?
We have it under control.
Okay, good.
And if not, we'll be back to solar panels.
I just don't want to find out later that then you had to add, take away the windows or
I'm
add.
telling you, I'm coming up with a lot of people are failing.
Yeah. Well, they changed, it's pretty stringent.
The best is hot water.
Sorry?
You get the most points for hot water,
Yes.
by far.
Oh, yeah, which I don't understand, but the big bucks buy that.
Yeah.
I see that. I'm stuck with a boiler myself.
You changed the location of the driveway slightly as well, right?
Yes, a little bit, correct. To accommodate.
Which is nicer. This is all much more user-friendly for the neighbors, it looks like to
And there's
me.
a big sort of park-like area in that.
And we were asked by neighbors to put pool equipment, if we could, in a vault under the pool house, and they volunteered to do
Oh,
that.
so is it down low?
Under the pool house, correct.
Yeah, I did that.
Isn't it pretty estate-style home? Will you be presenting driveway gates at some point in the future?
No, I don't think so.
Good,
These are the neighborhood.
because Toilsome doesn't really have that many, do they?
No.
There's a new house coming in next door to you, too, that's pretty large. I guess you guys have seen that, huh? Okay, it's shingled, though. It
Yes,
was
it is.
white, so that's actually good.
It's shingled.
So we don't have like the
Enviro
twins
bleach,
hanging
we'll
out
try
down
to
there at
silver.
the end.
Right. So we did change the material to an EnviroBleach shingle.
What's that mean?
That means it's
Oh,
a...
you can show me.
Yes, I can show you.
Yeah. It turns a gray. It helps absorb
Oh,
it.
so now it's shingled?
No, it's shingles, as per the client's request. So this
House is
will
shingled?
weather a little in gray
Far out. You're kidding.
with 5-inch exposure
Is
to
that
weather.
on here? Where are the actual plans?
It should be... They're in there.
Should be in there.
Did they say, are those new plans that say they're shingles? I didn't look at the...
Yeah, this is shingle
Okay, because that's pretty important,
with
to say the least.
over boosting.
All right. Well, what progress you've made. That's great. So, council, do you think we could, the parking vault, as it's called, we'll leave that to the building department to sort out?
I think you're fine if you wanted to approve this application tonight, and if the building inspector determines that this is a structure that requires additional review, we'll send it back.
Okay.
Take a look at it again.
Okay, he didn't think so, but,
But you'll have to get your specifications from the manufacturer into him, and then he'll make that determination.
all right.
There's some detailing to do.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to address this particular?
Can I just ask, you mentioned the pool equipment will be in the basement of the pool house. Is that marked on the plans
It is in the...
in the large set?
No, it's in the small set as well.
Can you
I'll tell
just
what
point
sheet-
that out? I want to
Sure.
make sure it's on the record, because I know that was a
Sure.
concern expressed explicitly last
All
time.
right, I don't think that's under our control yet.
No, but if they're making the representation that it will be, I'd like to, that what is
You
addressed.
can see on sheet A105, first floor plan, there's a hatch shown. There's a floor hatch to the equipment through the interior of the pool house.
Yeah. Bilko.
All right,
That one's going to be, that one's going to be boring old Bilko.
Yeah, Bilko chloride.
And pool equipment is noted.
Actually,
The pool has a hydraulic fluid that comes
Yeah.
out.
you know,
There you go.
I have some crazy thing where it has a trap door and you have to go down there. It's a total mistake. Go Bilko. I'm sorry I ever,
Yeah.
it was not a good, it was like overthought,
Bilko does a good business.
yeah. All right, is there anyone from the public who would like to talk about this application? No? Motion to approve the application of Craig J. Goldberg, 258 Toilsome Lane.
So move.
Second, aye.
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 Wow.
Thank you for your
Good
time.
luck.
Thank you, good luck.
See ya.
Anything stand on there? I don't think so.
I don't think so. There's a lot of stuff. Next, Butterfly Homes, 152 Pelletreau Street, exterior alterations. Actually, this came out much better now that it's shingled. So it won't look so like the one house in that street that I regret. That's all good. What good news? And the other guy, too. Amazing. Here, put this in there,
Oh.
because that's important. That's not the right stamp. It needs a date stamp.
Yeah.
So we had two, everything's approved. One is adjourned because the guy didn't bring his stuff in. It's a total win-win. That's unusual for us.
Yes.
Very. But
Let's like
one
make
more to go.
it unanimous. Give it a shot. This shouldn't be that bad.
Well,
So my name is.
and then they got, listen, it's not,
They're very stylish.
Actually, mine actually really are. And I don't like wearing them.
I love wearing my
Hence
glasses.
my nose.
Oh, me too. I get that problem. But I look smarter.
are there small sets?
There's no help for me.
Do you have small sets of plans?
I did not submit small sets of plans.
Can you get out some of the plans, because she doesn't have any small sets?
Sure. There's the whole file, including affidavits.
Okay, I don't like to mess with that over here, because we get lost, which we cannot afford. Here's some photographs that people might want to see. Do you want to see them?
Yeah, I know the house.
Oh, okay.
I remember when it went on the market. I was
Wow. Something.
dismissed it.
My name is Katie Cooper. I live on 20 Downs Path in Southampton, and I'm here about 152 Pelletreau Street.
And your relationship to this project is?
I own it.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So I bought it when it went on the market, and we're just looking. We're going to keep the house size the same. Just looking to replace the windows and change out the garage door and the siding, which is aluminum. Currently, we're going to shingle it.
Are you changing the size of the windows?
No. The reason I'm here is predominantly there's a garage door here, and we're going to get rid of the garage door and make it part of the house. The house is fairly small, and just put windows here.
You lay that down flat on
Sorry,
the table,
yes.
facing us. Actually, it needs to turn it around 180 degrees.
So you're just adding living space over the,
And the
you're
side-
closing
Converting the
off,
garage and making the garage living space.
I was
That's
wondering
Never
what
mind,
you
so
would-
it's the same house? Are you removing any part of your house?
No. There's a
Just
glass.
closing the garage, that glass thing
The glassing in the back is being removed, but that's
extra.
extra. That's not part
That's
of the
okay.
house. That's just a glass
So
thing.
you're putting new surfaces on, you're putting in some new windows on the sides.
Correct,
And on the
and
front
on
of the
the front.
garage. And you're changing, I think, you're changing a couple windows into doors in the back.
Correct. In the back. But on the front,
No change to the forms.
That's what I say. Literally,
Yeah,
you wouldn't have to come before us, but they're adding living space so that now takes the
this
garage
is the predominant.
Because they're also adding windows, too, on the sides.
Yeah.
It's like in kind. They're not changing size.
The side is a new
Side is
window. The side is a new window. There are no windows on either side. It was actually a modular home, like built-in boxes. And so it's very, like the ceilings are super low and it's very dark inside. And so that's why we're going to try to bring in some light on the windows on the sides. But keeping everything the same, the floor plan the same, actually, except for the garage.
And you have existing PVC trim, is that why it's staying PVC? You're changing the,
PVC trim is...
AZEK, or it's like a plastic wood.
polyvinyl chloride.
So right now it's all aluminum siding.
Yeah.
And we are going with a white shingle on the top and a boral siding on the bottom.
What is boral siding?
That's like...
Is that like a hardy?
Yeah, it's a hardy board like this, but this is going long ways instead of...
Okay.
Is that in the file?
No, this is just a picture that
Okay, well, we need that picture. Yeah.
I didn't know if the new door would be part of it, but so that's what the new door will look like.
Yeah, it's important that we have all that in the file. However, I admire your project to make it
Just
nicer.
nicer. It's not
Yeah,
knocking
really
it down or
nicer.
anything. And
Yeah.
So
It's a cute house.
the siding is this here? Is
The
it?
top will be the white shingle, and then the bottom will be the hardy board or the boral, which is going sideways.
Okay. That's the top. Okay.
And then this is,
Appreciate the fact you're not tearing it down and building up something.
That's too big for the property.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's very
that's,
nice.
it's just like it's
You'll
a really
enjoy
good
it
house.
more, I bet.
Yeah. I think
All right, no one is left, is that correct, back here? Do we have anyone
Can I
here?
see that? Hold on. I don't object to anything. I think it's
Okay. Do you-
that door. I love that door.
and it'll be a black
It'll be a black door with black windows.
So it's just the
Anderson.
transients on the side, on the lower side, but the top is a panel.
Correct.
Yeah, that's
cute.
okay,
It's
that's
cute.
nice. Let's light in, but you
and
can't see
asphalt
everybody.
shingle roof.
The roof is staying the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's a vast improvement, good for you.
Thank you. We did.
Everybody, motion to approve the application of Butterfly Homes LLC, 152 Pelletras
So
Street.
moved.
Second, aye?
Aye.
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 Great.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Amazing. All right,
Yes, that
wait,
was
let's put-
amazing.
This is one that's stamped. We've got,
Those are all, that's all part of the file.
oh, okay, good.
Everything should go into the file.
Here's the rest of the file.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Next, public hearings historic. Thomas and Meredith Joyce. Is there a letter in the file requesting an adjournment till April 3rd, 13th?
April 13th.
Well, I don't think,
I was copied on such a letter.
yes. Okay, someone's seen it.
Yes, April 13th, 2020.
Motion to approve the applicant's request for an adjournment.
Just with just forethought, we talked about it kind of briefly. This has been on their agenda for a while now.
But this is a referral back to us.
Understood, but
It's still been a couple
it's
months
still been
already.
a couple of months
So-
now, and this.
What happened was that the ZBA did not meet.
On Thursday, they were supposed to be
so they
hearing the
didn't
variance.
Because
the
it's been on there
variance.
so long, maybe they should be required to at least repost.
I don't think so.
And we're talking 3 months.
This is the antique store, right? Well,
Well, I think they have to actually repost anyway, because they haven't come to us with plans for the proposed new house. They're going to have to,
but this is just for
just for the removal.
the antique store moving to the middle of the property, and then there's some landscaping edicts from us, right?
Okay. So they're not coming back with that in the
I have
context
no,
of new construction?
I don't think, I think
Okay.
that what this is, because I was confused, is that they had to come to us for an advisory. We sent them an advisory, and then for some reason it got totally bogged down, and then we were told, but I had forgotten, it has to come back to us as an actual application.
Right.
Well,
We
I
just
believe,
once
the
they get a variance.
application that is pending before you right now is to demolish and the hardship exemption.
No.
Well,
That's what it
yeah,
says.
that's what it says.
That's what it
Certificate of
says.
appropriateness for demo of that structure.
And
They're coming back to
the
us.
That's not right.
relocation would be
Okay.
an alternative.
Yeah.
So when they actually apply to relocate it, I think you're correct
See,
in
I
that they
think
would.
that they have to list it that way till they get the variance.
Yes.
Yes,
That's correct.
exactly.
I think, Alice, you're right. Once they get the variance, they're going to remove this from the agenda. I don't think they come back to us until they have a full plan, including the new construction. I
Well,
think that would be the
okay.
new application.
I don't know, but we haven't even approved the thing that we told them we wanted them to do, so. Okay, so are we,
Okay. Well,
Let's
I'm
just-
going
Motion to approve the applicant's
do you
request
want?
to adjourn.
Okay.
second, aye.
Aye. Next, Lifton Green LLC / Pico, 270 Ox Pasture Road. Relocate existing residence, demo existing detached garage, construct new two-story residence with pool cabana. Letter requesting adjournment till March 9th, 2020.
That's correct.
You got the Lifton Green while you're over there?
So this is, to me, a different situation, and because, although it's similar in some ways, was similar in some ways to the 765 Hill Street application in terms of the substance of it. But this now is something that has been pending before us since about this time last year. about 11 months. It was sort of put on hold, and there's been a change of representation. I think there's been a change of maybe possible disposition of the property because it was originally going to be sold. I mean, my feeling is, why take up space on our agenda right now? I don't know where they are in front of the ZBA, and if they are, or I think they're planning to come to us for this advisory that we would then give back to the ZBA.
Right, so,
I mean, this is
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say from both applications. For some clarification, is holding up the time on the agenda. You don't know who has any comment about the application or who may want to get further detail and information on it, and it's just sitting there, and it's not fair for the process. It's not fair to us.
they're going to come
We don't
with
know
a
what they
different
want.
plan, is what I understand.
Well, let it be known if that's what they're looking
And
to
there's
do.
part of the problem was, it was still listed, excuse me, under Lifton Green, which they need to write to remove themselves, which they may or may not have done, but that was part of the discussion in the building department.
Whatever the circumstances are on both
And then the new
applications, there
people
should be some
have to
clarification
apply.
as to
So
what
what
their
do we
intent is.
do?
We're talking months.
So what do we do?
I think, Curtis, on the other one, I think Alice is right. The first one on Hill Street is that just they're technically until
Right, it's-
they get the
been a
variance that they're
giant
seeking, in which
mess.
case they'll withdraw that hardship application and it's gone.
Right.
In this case, it's different, and I feel frankly inclined to drop this from our agenda at this point
Make them start
without
again.
prejudice, and just make them start again when they're ready to start.
Okay.
Curtis, does that make sense to you?
I think that's what's going to happen anyway, but
Okay.
fine. So this is a motion to adjourn for all purposes?
No, not adjourn.
What is the terminology?
Let me, do you have the letter? I think I have the letter
Yeah,
somewhere.
dismiss without prejudice?
Jolie's probably heard a lot of,
It could be dismissed without prejudice. It could be removed from our agenda. There's a number of things we can do. I just don't want to keep seeing it adjourned every single meeting.
I agree.
With no development.
Might I suggest that you remove it from your agenda for now until we know
and
what
what
the
does that
applicant
leave?
wants
And
to
that
do?
leaves it that it could still be put back on the agenda?
Yes, upon resubmit.
Okay, motion to,
Remove from agenda until the applicant resubmits a plan or withdraws.
okay.
Yeah.
Motion,
I'm only worried about giving a motion to dismiss. It's actually giving a decision on an application, whereas we're just asking them to remove themselves and then reapply.
Right. If the purpose of keeping it on the agenda is so that if they're trying to save having to do a new application fee, I'm sympathetic to that a little bit.
actually, they have to because they're not the same people.
Well, they can get that. They
Right?
can get
You
that
can get it transferred.
assigned over to them, but I would like to see them renotice and that sort of thing. So I'm going to make a motion that the motion is to remove this from our agenda, pending clarification from the applicant as to how they wish to move forward. At which point it could be put back on.
I
the
second
agenda.
that.
Aye.
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 Great.
Okay, next, BLC Hillside Investments LLC, 132 South Main Street, reconstruct pool house and move and modify existing barn. Letter requesting an adjournment, does it say till
Until when?
when? Until the end of time?
It just says that they would like to adjourn the next meeting on January 27th. There is no
Continuation.
proposed date, continuation date. So I'm going to make a motion that we accept the applicant's request to adjourn to our next meeting at this point. if there are no-
February 10th.
I second that.
Aye.
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 Great. Next, advisory cases from the ZBA. Lifton Green LLC. See, this is the same thing again.
Yep.
It's not going to be Lifton Green.
Well, it's,
Yeah?
go ahead.
I think this was supposed to be on the ZBA.
Yeah, we know that, but now the people,
I think it'll probably be on February's agenda.
the thing is, the
It
people
was
who are-
adjourned for them as well. You know, they weren't going to be heard on Thursday.
Really?
Yeah.
But they're, the people who are now,
since we've already done the prior, I mean, it's in the historic application that we removed it from our agenda, the same applies to the advisory pending further development. They just can't
Okay,
take up
'cause they're
real
gonna have
estate
a
on our,
different
they can't
plan.
take real estate on our agenda until.
Okay, so motion to remove the advisory for Lifton Green LLC from our agenda until new plans are submitted with
I
the
second that.
proper applicants, I guess is what I can say.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Susan, the other thing I'd like to bring up, I know Zach's not here because there were no historic applications, which is great. I hope he's enjoying his time off. But at our last meeting, we did ask that he do just a review of his last inventory report and a one-page sort of update of the status of the properties that were listed on that report and a summary to us. So I just wanted to reiterate that for the record in hopes that that is moving
I don't
forward.
remember asking him to do that in such formal terms, but that's okay.
I
Okay.
don't think we took a resolution and we didn't take a
Right.
vote. Maybe we should take a vote, but it was discussed and.
Yeah, well, that could be
Yep.
that might take time. Yes,
Okay.
I told him not to come since there were no historic.
Yeah, no, I know.
I mean,
And I
really.
don't-
He gets, try to save the village money when I can. He gets paid, and also it's just a waste of his time. So, all right, I'll mention it.
What's a waste of his time?
To come here when there's
Oh, to come
nothing.
here. Yeah,
Would
yeah.
you, when there are no historic
No, I know.
applications, that seems kind of silly.
I agree.
On that note, I did reach out to Linda Mackey at SHPO to suggest some consultants if that's what the board wanted to consider. So I can share that information with you.
Consultants for the code?
Possibly expanding the historic district or making code
Yes.
provision changes.
Recommendation.
Theoretically under the dome of the planning commission.
They make recommendations, they don't necessarily
Right,
enforce.
Either we or they can make recommendations along these lines to the trustees. And I think what we talked about last time was consideration of either possible additional landmarking, getting information together that would allow us to either consider additional individual landmarking, possible expansion of the historic district. Zach brought up a third option, which is consideration of some sort of historic overlay.
Right, the overlay,
that
which
would
he
not-
liked.
Yeah, which he says is gaining some currency and seemed to like.
So is she going to give you,
She did.
So I think the idea is, depending on Zach's recommendations to us, if we feel that it would be helpful to have an outside resource that could give us recommendations on code. Or on
so is
language for
Zach the
code.
interface there?
I think we're supposed to be getting it from Zach, and you were also presenting options and opportunity and maybe even cost. And
Yeah.
then we
Thank
make a
you.
comparison
Thank you.
between the two and then
Thank
figure
you.
out which is best.
Yeah, so I think
because
we would need to know what we were going to
Yeah,
do.
yes,
before
yes.
we-
To get a scope.
So I was under the impression that the planning commission was going to start doing this, but maybe we can talk to them with these people too.
And if we were to be able to present names for them to.
Yes, they might do something.
That might
So
speed
that could
things
be
along.
helpful. So maybe, can she write a letter and give the names and send it to me and to
And to
the
Paul
planning co-
Travis, maybe.
Yeah, maybe, and Ellen Scott too. What do you
Elton
think?
Scott.
It just would say,
Planning Commission.
it needs to be 3 paragraphs, but with 2 paragraphs in the names, maybe that'll jumpstart them.
At the
Do you think?
suggestion
Yes.
of Linda
And we could
Mackey.
work with them, but
Yes.
they have been doing something, but we never quite get to the point where we can feel like we're going to be able to protect more properties.
So I think and having spoken with both Eldon and Paul individually on this, I think what I'm talking about for us is sort of a subset of what they're doing. They're looking at some larger issues about some broader code changes, clarification of historic processes, and some non-historic processes in the code, and things that might require updating. What I'm suggesting is that we exercise the role we already have, which is the ability to designate or landmark, and that may solve or address some of the concerns that people have, or it may fit hand in glove with what they're doing. So we won't know until the process plays out a little bit more.
Okay.
But since they had that workshop, it seems that.
Yeah, I
we're
think
all
it'd be
moving
great.
together.
They need resources.
Yes, Correct.
So let's help them with that.
Exactly.
And maybe we can piggyback onto that. Okay, motion, is that it? Motion to close the meeting of the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation.
So moved.
Second?
Aye.
Aye.
Wow.
A Guinness Book of Records.
No, we once said 1 hour.
30.
Oh.